What is happening at JGame Dude here, and let's talk about Elden Ring again, my favorite subject that I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a decent amount of viewership on, so let's kind of jump right on into it. God of War Ragnarok writer Alana Pierce argues Elden Ring is not accessible to disabled players, claims it counts as a disability if you have a 2-year-old. So there is a clip floating around of Alana Pierce. She's actually got a video called Elden Ring DLC is too hard, it's not. I would highly recommend checking out this video because it's like 17 minutes, but effectively she talks about accessibility because she does consultancy from an accessibility perspective, and that's a cool thing to know because hey, if like say for example I went and got my like right arm chopped off by, I don't know, a falling knife from the sky for some reason, I want to still be able to play games. I've still got a functioning left arm and hand, but what am I going to do with my right hand? Like, I can't press the face buttons on my controller, you know? There's going to be some difficulty there. But the thing is that when it comes to disability, there's actually a lot of things that people don't consider to be a disability. Pretty much the concept of disability or disabling your it disables your ability to do something. I feel like that might be the easiest way to word it, because disability is usually considered for something like, oh, my legs are completely broken and can never be fixed again, so I need to be in a wheelchair. No, not necessarily. There are other ways in which people are constantly unable to do things in certain ways. It disables their ability to do something. Say for example, wearing glasses is a necessity for people because if they don't wear glasses, then they are unable to do certain tasks. It disables their ability to do those tasks because they cannot see, either because they might be nearsighted, farsighted, whatever have you. And she talks about 3 specific types of disability, one of which in the accessibility world is actually a term that exists called situational disability. And that is where this idea of having a 2-year-old is counted as a disability. And I feel like disability is the wrong word. I feel like inability might be a better word, because the idea of, again, using the word disability or disabled means, you know, person on wheelchair effectively. But not necessarily. Again, it just disables because a person doesn't have access to the legs. They are disabled from being... Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess disability. They're unable to use their legs. Their inability to use their legs is causing some issues, right? Same thing here. Where, like, if you have a child and you can't pause the game because Elden Ring doesn't have a pause function, well, sure, you can pause it in some really obtuse way, like going into certain menus and sitting on those menus. But if you just can't press a single button to be like paused, to go then look after your child, you know, like that is available to you in most games and is not a difficult thing to implement. So I'm not too sure why certain games don't implement it, but that's the example that she uses of like, hey, if my kid's crying, I just want to be able to pause the game so I can then quickly go and look at my kid because they just woke up like 5 minutes ago or something like that. Having a child is not necessarily a disability, but it disables your ability to do certain things. Like say for example, if you wanted to travel and you just had a newborn that's like a few months old, you can't go traveling because you're leaving your child behind with your spouse. So ideally, your ability to travel overseas is disabled until your child grows a little bit more and then can travel with you. Because they don't think it's such a good idea to bring like a 4-month-old onto a plane. At least I don't think I'd want to be completely honest. But yeah, I feel like people are just getting a little bit too carried away with the concept and the idea of disability. So yeah, she talks about permanent disability, which is like, yeah, temporary disability, situational disability. I think those were the 3 types of disability. I could be completely wrong about that. I did actually sit down and watch the video but that was like 12 hours ago, so I'm kind of just going for that sort of thing. So yeah, would love to see more disability options. I would not like to see them make the games easier or less challenging, but it's a difficult balance to strike, obviously. Because, like, you know, I don't think people realize it, but say something like subtitles is actually an accessibility option. Funny that, huh? So the thing is that if you have difficulty listening to people talk, or you don't even need to not be able to hear. Like, say you've been playing since your early 20s, you are now 50 years old, and your ears just aren't quite as sharp as they used to be. Even if you can just slightly hear them, subtitles will really help you. If your vision is going slightly off, there's going to be ways to help you with that in the future. So accessibility options doesn't necessarily make the games easier, it just puts you in a position where you can actually play the game like a normal person, because your vision is going to dull when you get older. Your hearing is going to get worse when you get older. You might get into accidents where you will probably get your hands and arms injured, and sometimes that damage may actually be permanent. More often than not, wounds heal themselves. But if you're under the age of 30, you won't realize it until you kind of get over that point and you're constantly in pain all the time. Your head hurts all the time. When you sleep, you wake up in the morning, your neck will always be hurting. You'll never know why, and you'll probably never bother to figure it out because you're just like, this is my life now, effectively. So there's a lot of things that can happen which will stop you from being able to do other things. Like if your neck hurts when you wake up in the morning, but it might get better later on in the day, that's a temporary disability because it means you can't look all the way to your left, maybe. Because it disables your ability to turn your head all the way to the left, as I was actually doing right now while I was talking in the mic, so I don't know why I was doing that. It's not like you can actually see me. But in saying that, this is just an insane conversation of like, it's not about making the game easier, it's just about making the game playable for other people who might not necessarily be considered when it comes down to it. And in this case, we're talking about parents. As someone who is going to be a parent soon, probably, I would like to still be able to play games, but I would also like to look after my kids at the same time. So the things that, obviously, the kid is going to be the priority. But what if other people are not able to respond within the household? I feel like I should be able to respond right away, so I can just pause the game, run off and go and do, anything at the drop of a hat, at the drop of a moment's notice. But I feel like most people aren't really going to be aware of that until they have, more responsibilities in life. I feel like, who knows? But with that being said, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. I feel like this is going to be a hell of a, firestorm in the comments section if this is one of those videos that does get 300-400 views. Like, I could absolutely see that, but I'm not going to put numbers on things because, again, the internet is what it is. YouTube is going to give me viewership or not, who knows. But I do hope that this video does get viewership, because this is going to be a fascinating topic, not about difficulty, not necessarily about permanent disability, but the concept and the idea of situational disability. I would highly recommend looking at Alana's 17-minute video, which I will link in the description below for sure. Like, absolutely give this video a watch, listen to it, and consider that maybe, rather than you maybe thinking of the word disability, maybe think of it as inability or disabling the ability to do something. Maybe look at it, frame it a slightly different way in your mind, and it might make a hell of a lot more sense, or maybe slightly less sense. But hopefully it kind of gets the idea across of like what is being talked about here in this video, because I do actually agree with her on this particular subject. With that being said, let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments below. Like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 300 subs by the end of the year. And with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.